because it prevents you from breathing or speaking moistly on them.
Well, about the time my daddy went to fight the big war, I saw my first pistol in the general store. In the general store, when I was 13, I thought it was the finest thing I ever had seen. I asked if I could have one when I grew up. Trudy dropped a dozen eggs and he really blew up. He really blew up and he didn't understand. Trudy said the pistol is the devil's right hand. He really blew up, he didn't understand. Trudy said the pistol is the devil's right hand. He really blew up, he didn't understand. Trudy said the pistol is the devil's right hand.
Welcome back to the Arcopia Show. So today I'm going to talk about guns. So if you don't like listening to this, then turn it off. And I will keep it fairly milk toasty. But yeah, today I want to talk about guns. So I'm in Canada, and Canada actually, most people would be surprised to hear this, but we have a lot of guns. So we have some really good guns. Guns that are that are really good that the U.S. can't even get. So different types of Norinco or Russian firearms, for instance. But in Canada, the system that we have is currently is we have non-restricted, and that means essentially a long gun, a gun that doesn't look scary to people who don't know what they're talking about, a shotgun, a muzzleloader, semi-automatic rifles, 22s type of thing. And non-restricted is also no registration. So essentially the government doesn't know, and nobody knows that you have that. Now when you go to a big box store and you buy a firearm, I'm sure that they have records of it and they'll just hand it over to the government or whatever. But essentially, if you go buy a non-restricted rifle or a gun of any kind, you can sell that to someone else. You're supposed to make sure that they have a PAL, it's called Possession and Acquisition License, to own a firearm. But essentially it's a non-restricted, so there's no registrations, so you can just sell it. Hi, my name's Bob, here's my PAL, I'll buy that gun off you. Here you go, Bob, thanks for the money, here's your gun. And that's the end of it. So the government lost track of most firearms in Canada. The next level from non-restricted is restricted, which is essentially the guns that they think look assaulty or scary, and the almost all handguns. So restricted is just a thing that you have on your possession acquisition license. So you can have non-restricted or non-restricted and restricted, which allows you to get handguns and, well, restricted firearms. With a restricted firearm, the government knows where all those are. There's a registration for every single one in their database. With a handgun, you can't use a handgun anywhere except to and from a government registered range. Same with the scary, assaulty looking long guns that are restricted as well. But essentially, the restricted ones, government has the tabs on you. Now, it's a course that you go through to get your PAL. It is legal gun owners are very scrutinized, looked up upon. It's government is right in your face if you think it's important to have handguns. But so when I got into handguns, I love handguns, a sidearm. I wish I could, when I was bear hunting, it would have been safer for me to carry a handgun, but you're not allowed. So, I might have been mauled if I was, bow hunting bear, and I got into trouble with a bunch of bears and just had a bow, and the bears killed me. One of the consequences of not being able to legally carry a handgun with me for protection in the wilderness, because Canada, I don't know if you knew this, is a pretty big country. Lots of wildlife and animals and threats of Mother Nature and things. But if I was mauled by the bear, it's the government's fault because I couldn't protect myself legally, type of thing. So there's all these unintended consequences. Or if I was on the farm and I was legally allowed to carry just a 22 long rifle handgun with me, there's instances where I could have got the weasel, could have shot the skunk, killing chickens, could have done many things. So the world is filled with these unintended consequences. And now I know if you're anti-gun and you happen to be listening, then, well, one of the consequences could have been, it would have been easier for another shooting or somebody, crazy person shooting. And no, not really. Like any shooting that might have happened, there's a better chance that somebody else that knows natural law and things would eliminate the threat and shooter. But nobody has handguns, and we're not allowed to defend ourselves. So, in Canada, but anyways, you'd be surprised how many cool guns that we have. So semi-automatic guns, all different kinds. Some are restricted, the typical ones like the AR-15 in the States, but some are the same or more scary, blacky, oh my god, that scares me, than the AR-15 that are actually non-restricted. And yeah, the government doesn't know where those are. So it's kind of a funny thing, because like if I was a communist, I know that you have to take the guns away from people before you start starving them to death. Like, that's just Communism 101. So I think our communist, system and leaders and things, they're literally so stupid that they forgot to read Communism 101. But, so that's a problem. I did a podcast about Canada being the first Western country to fall. And actually just me thinking afterwards, because I didn't get into firearms or whatever, but there's many different other countries, like all of Europe, and, and that the guns are gone, essentially, or almost all gone. So actually, you're going to fail first. So Canada does have quite a few guns. So that moved it up on the list where the plebs, the minions, the citizenry can still, if needed be, they still have that tool. And that's all a gun is a tool, right? Like a framing nailer or a framing hammer or an Olfa knife, construction knife, or an axe or a chainsaw, or it's just another tool, right? And that's how I think of guns. It's just a tool. I'm not a gunny. There's plenty of people they're obsessed about guns, like the gun guys. They know everything about every firearm, about every piece. That's their thing. They just love the guns, and I'm not like that. I know, in general, that it's a tool. I know what the tool is used for. I know how to properly use that tool, how to properly store that tool, just like my framing nailer, just like my razor blades for the Olfa knife and my hunting knives. Those are, out of reach of children, and, because like the most dangerous tool that I've ever used is an Olfa knife in construction. So many injuries. It's incredible. A gun is not nearly as dangerous as a Olfa knife. But anyway, so in Canada now, the feds they decided that they're going to, well, first in recent history here with them, they did a list of about 1,500 firearms that are on the list or something. So on the list, it's the bad ones type of thing, and some threats with that. And then now it's all handguns. So Justin Trudeau is the #1 gun salesman in all of Canadian history. So after some these handgun bans, and so it's essentially the bill doesn't allow you to transfer a handgun anymore, and I guess it kind of dies with the owner type of thing. So that means no stores can sell them, so they're going to put gun stores out of business. So no gun stores are going to carry handguns anymore. If I wanted to sell my handgun, I can't, because it has my name on it on the government registration, so I can't sell it to anyone else. No handgun transfers. So it's just a slow process. Like the next stage, so there's non-restricted, which is the long guns, no registration. The restricted, which has a registration, and your typical handguns, nothing too special about it, right? And then the next is prohibited. But way back in the day, you could get a prohibited license, and that would allow you to have some pretty cool stuff, like really small handguns, and even like automatic things. But just like they're doing with the handguns now, kind of the prohibited, there's still a few old boys that have the prohibs license, but they can only sell it to somebody else that has a prohib. But all those old guys are dying, and there's not too many left. When a prohib person, license holder, dies or lets their license expire, they can't get it back. Or when they die, those guns have to go to the government for them to weld, or take the firing pin and weld the barrel shut, and then the family can have them back as a wall hanger. And it's going to be the same thing with guns. So it's a slow communist process. So it's actually kind of, it's like, I think they're too stupid that they didn't read Communism 101 and take all the guns like right off the bat before they go full-blown communism. But it gives me a little bit of hope, because it's kind of a long process that they're going to take it away over a generation type of thing, the next set. So maybe, we're not, well, they can't start starving anybody else, because people, like citizens, have guns, so you can't, which is wonderful. But places like Europe and stuff where you don't have any guns, then you guys are screwed. You're going first, I guess. But yeah, a handgun, or any gun, or a bow and arrow, or a hunting knife, or a skinning knife, or a boning knife, or a hatchet, those are tools. So a U-Haul truck that somebody will get in to do a mass killing with in Europe or anywhere. Like if you wanted to do the most amount of damage, you don't use a gun. You use a big truck like that in a crowded place. So they use that. But people are allowed to drive these multi-thousand-pound vehicles 100 kilometers an hour, and that is significantly more dangerous than a gun. So some of the people driving is, well, obviously the general public, and they shouldn't be driving. Like their IQ isn't high enough that they should be having that size of piece of equipment. So instead of gun ban, they should actually ban vehicles, in my opinion, because they're much more dangerous. But anyways, I wanted to get into what my thoughts are with the gun ban in Canada. So like I explained with non-restricted, and again, if you're listening to this and you're one of the people that knows everything about guns, everything you do, everything you read, everything you watch, your whole life is guns, and you want to correct me in the comments or add something that you feel is important, that's fine. I'm not a gun, what do you call it? A gun obsessed. That's not the only thing I do, right? I do many different things. I can talk to you about passive solar greenhouse, the most high efficient building. I can talk to you about animal husbandry, you know, car, so many things. Okay. I'm not just a gun guy, but so bear with me. But, but yeah, the non-restricted, the government doesn't know that you have them. So as far as the government's concerned, nobody has any of them, if you know what I mean there. But when I got into handguns and, okay, restricted, what does this mean? That means you have to register with the government so the government knows that you have them. So going into handguns, however many years it's been, I don't know, 15 years ago or something, that I got my restricted in my first handgun. And knowing that the government knows that I have that. So even back then, before I, you know, just with age you get smarter. But when the government knows that you have something, you know, I've always thought that the government is, you know, stupid, and because I value freedom and things, but that because they know you have them, they're going to probably take them away. And that's what they're now doing. So a lot of these people that talk big and things, they're talking about, well, I'm going to have a boating accident. And it's like, well, if you don't produce the gun that, handgun that you have registered, the restricted one, you're in as much trouble as, you know, running over a person with a car or something. So no, you can't have a boating accident. But that's the ongoing joke with some of these, you know, gun people pissed off with, you know, infringing on the rights and taking away things of law-abiding citizens. So essentially, the handgun ban, what it is it's banning handguns from law-abiding citizens, not criminals, right? So they're essentially, you could call the bill that they're allowing criminals to keep their handguns, but taking it away from law-abiding citizens. So I also want you to think what the mentality that this gives to a smart person. Now, let's say you enjoy your freedoms and you have tools of different kinds, and the government wants to take away one of your tools, like a handgun. And let's say they disarm the society a little more, and then, oh my God, this other country's invading. Where are all the men at? It's like, oh, I almost swore there on YouTube. I can't swear. Eat a bag of something. No, I'm not. Why? You're losing. See, a country that does stupid things and takes away liberties and freedoms, it loses its patriotic people, the people that, you know, you want to, the strong men, the strong people. You lost all that. So go ahead, send the women and children, and you know, it's whatever. It's like, no, we're drafting the men. Oh no, I identify as a purple penguin, so I can't go. But what allegiance do you have to this stupid systems that keep taking away your freedoms away? Now, again, just to put it in, just to explain just how the gun thing works. Okay, so the general public do not have guns. The general public do not have fireplaces. The general public do not have stored food. The general public do not produce anything or know anything themselves. The general public think it's big corporations that are the enemy. The general public votes, and it's a democracy. So what are guns? Guns are scary. What do you need a gun for? Like, we all live in condos and apartments and townhouses and in the city, and nobody needs guns. What are you talking about? And so obviously the handgun owners in Canada are a minority. I wonder, actually, yeah, in the States they'd be a minority too. Gun owners would be a minority in the States, even though the States has so many firearms per per capita, like a ridiculous amount. Firearms per capita, but I would say the majority of the population, like 51+%, think guns are scary, right? Even though you have the most guns and the most gun rates in any country on the face of the earth. But I would say in a democracy, the majority of your citizens don't, and think that they're scary and think that there's no need. So you're going to have the same issues to deal with. And where, again, there's these lines in the sand. Are you going to do something about it? Are you going to do petitions and stand up or, I'll just leave it at that. Or are you going to say, I would do something, but, I have a wife and kids and, a lot of business and stuff going on. So, and I thought about with the handguns, just because I know that it's a democracy. The majority of people are stupid. The majority of people don't have handguns. The majority of people don't understand why it's important for citizens to have some of these tools. Just the natural progression of the stupidity that we live in is that they're going to come after the things that you have registered that they know about, right? It's just a natural thing. So I thought this through, and I'm gonna miss my handguns, kind of thing. It's gonna suck. Like, it would be very nice to have a sidearm, but they already make it so, like, they already took away the rights that I can't even use it on my farm and homestead or carry it. I have to use it at a range anyway. And Canadians and all Westerners, they're pathetic losers with no backbone and aren't going to do anything anyways. And I just know this, right? Nobody's going to stand up and do anything. So I'll give them up. When you get the letter in the mail, I'm kind of busy. I'll get to it sometime, whatever. When I watch everybody else give them up, and I'll be one of the last. Oh, geez, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh, here you go. Yeah, enjoy. And I'll use, if it's a buyback program, I'll use that money to buy a thermal scope for one of my non-restricted that the government doesn't know about, or something like that, or night vision to have a different kind of force multiplier than a sidearm. A sidearm would be very nice, but and man, I love shooting handguns. Like going to the range, I have single action revolvers, like the cowboy type guns, like in all the Western movies and things. They had coach gun, shotgun, and a lever action, and a one or two of these single action revolvers. And I have those, and I never had time to go get into that. I would have loved it as a hobby, like single action army, like clubs and competitions and things. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. What an awesome hobby and stuff. But the underlying thing of the citizens being armed, right? If you're going to go against nature and make the citizens slaves and starve them out, you can't let the citizens have tools like guns, right? The underlying thing of why that you have a gun is the Second Amendment in the United States, is the right to bear arms. And yeah, so if I was the leader of everything, I would want every citizen to be armed, and armed to the teeth. Even if the odd one was pointed at me by somebody for some reason, but if it's a natural system, I'd rather have my citizen, my community, all armed, extremely powerful, and it keeps me in check too if I was dictator. But But if I was an evil person and wanted to starve out my citizens and take away all their rights and liberties and make them eat the bugs and things, then I'd want to disarm my community as well, to make them very weak and my servant slaves. So, but yeah, that's just how I see it. So let me know what you think about that. I mean, you can only say, even in the comments, watch what you say. So you can only say so much about certain things in this world, because you already lost the right to free speech. Like in the States, the First Amendment, the most important thing, the right to free speech, and then the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, is to protect the first one, the right to talk. But then, here I am, I'm tippy-toeing, dancing around the moving goalpost that I have to deal with, and censoring myself. I think I'm getting pretty good at it, tippy-toeing around. We'll see. I can't push things too far or nothing, but yeah, that's where we're going. Brick wall, full speed. So hopefully when a stronger, smarter country invades and takes over a place like Canada, there won't be any men left in the military, anybody with an IQ on a police force, type of thing. Nobody strong in the military. You don't have to do 10 push-ups, just 2 now. The diversity hires, and then the whole citizenry, no guns in it, kind of like Europe. And we get invaded. It's like, oh, they're I guess we're in a new system now. So yeah, the government office is that way, guys. I don't want any trouble. Hey, you guys need some fresh potatoes? Good stuff. But yeah, I can understand the perspective of city dwellers who don't do anything, have no experience, don't have free thought, have been brainwashed their whole life, do think guns are scary. Like I can again see your perspective. What do you need a gun for today or tomorrow or next week, or going to the store? Like it's pretty good, right? But when the time comes that you do need a gun and there's no guns around, then that's why. Just to finish off the podcast here, as it relates to life and homesteading, and just firearms as other tools that you should have in life, just like a hammer and a knife. What I recommend you get for guns, if you're not too far down the communist tyrannical rabbit hole, that you can still get these things. But the most common gun that you're going to use is a 22 long rifle, and that the ammo is cheapest. I mean, it's 3 times as much for ammo than it was a few years ago. But if you're just getting into it, 22 long rifle, that's what you're going to use to plink, practice, shoot gophers, varmints, skunks in cages, weasels, all sorts of predators around the homestead and things. But even that's what I use to dispatch a 500-pound pig, is a 22 long rifle, properly placed by my calm hands when the time is necessary for that. But that's number one. And they're inexpensive. I won't even give you recommendations for what type of 22. You can look at that. But here I'll list them off: 22 long rifle, a high-powered rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. That's what you need for guns if you're just getting into it. But for a hunting rifle, you need it high enough caliber for hunting bigger game, essentially, or and if you're doing it on a budget, the Russian SKS rifle is my recommendation. It's a foolproof rifle. It's just mankind created this thing, and it's just a beautiful piece of artwork, like plywood stock. It's never screws up. It has a like toolkit in the butt of it to take it down, and they're cheap. Like they used to be really cheap. Now they're again 3 times as much as they were a few years ago. But what isn't, I guess. But so a high-powered rifle and then a shotgun, and I'd recommend 12 gauge is kind of your standard. But if you're a woman or a smaller frame, or for a youth, a 20 gauge would be good as well. And then your pistol, so your sidearm, and in Canada they're obviously taking that away, and in Canada you can't carry it with you anywhere or use it anywhere other than at a range. And so it's kind of we're already slaves enough that we can't utilize that tool properly. But a pistol, so 22 high powered rifle, shotgun, pistol, and that's all you need. And then past that you can look into some other things, or different calibers of high powered rifles, or different types of 22 long rifles for certain things, or a couple different shotguns, like a shorter barrel or a long range steel shot, goose hunting 12 gauge or something, or a semi-automatic and a pump action. But yeah, 22 long rifle number 1, high powered rifle and shotgun number 2, and then pistol number 4. Okay, thanks for listening. Hopefully that yeah, I didn't I was tippy-toeing around certain things enough, but let me know in the comments what you thought about that. To a point, watch what you say. Thanks for listening.
Well, about the time my daddy went to fight the big war, I saw my first pistol in the general store. In the general store, when I was 13, I thought it was the finest thing I ever had seen. I asked if I could have one when I grew up. Trudy dropped a dozen eggs and he really blew up. He really blew up and he didn't understand. Trudy said the pistol is the devil's right hand. He really blew up, he didn't understand. Trudy said the pistol is the devil's right hand. He really blew up, he didn't understand. Trudy said the pistol is the devil's right hand.